Welcome back to season 2 of the Katie Wellness Show. I am back with more amazing tools, awesome interviews, and some great discussions to help you optimize your health, body, mind, and spirit. Not only can you use these tools every day, you can also teach them to your children and to your family members so that you can raise emotionally and physically resilient children, so that you can show up more in your life, that you can take back your personal power. Get ready to tap into your intuition. I'm so excited that you're here. You are worthy of health and of joy and of thriving in your motherhood, thriving in your life. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for being willing to meet with me. I always love talking with other business owners about their products and the story behind their products. And I know that we've met before, but I wanted to share our conversation, share your company, share your heart behind what you do at Mett Wellness, Mett Naturals. So will you start by introducing yourself
Yeah.
a little bit to my listeners, to those who don't know you or haven't met you before?
Yeah. Thanks, Lindsay. Appreciate it. My name's Scott Schwab, and I'm one of the initial 3 founders from what was Mett. And Mett actually stands for kind of the letters from each of the founders, Mark, Evan, and then the 2 T's from Scott. So Mett, we started in 2019. And at the time, we were really just trying to find a solution for farmers who could grow hemp. Hemp was coming onto the scene. The Farm Bill had just passed in 2018. And so there was a lot of excitement around the industry. And so that was one of our first things was, well, can we farm this? Because we looked at other products and we looked at other solutions that were coming out in the form of CBD. And there was all sorts of problems with them. Like, Lindsay, you probably know this all the time, but when you review products, like if you can't track it back to the source, it means that there's adulteration. It means that there's issues with the products. And so my personal why was I have some severe pain neuropathy. I'll get into this a little bit later, but when I was 15, I was paralyzed. And so my nervous system was in shambles. And when that happens, sometimes it manifests itself in neuropathy. And so I was looking for a solution for pain and for inflammation. And what I found is that the products on the market were inconsistent. They were improperly marked. At one point, 80% of the products on the shelves were not accurate. And so we felt like we could come in and we could provide that level of detail, that level of transparency because we have the farm. And so that's really where our story begins, is 2019 wanting to know how to farm it and giving farmers an opportunity to farm something that had, good profit in it.
I'm curious. That is a long time for you to be looking for answers and for relief and solutions. Have you found that the products that you offer have been that healing resource? And what other things have you done that have worked to help you heal and to be well?
Yeah, great question. And I love that question because it allows me to kind of dive back into my past. When I got Guillain-Barré, it was a bacterial type of Guillain-Barré, and it comes on by something called Campylobacter jejuni. It's a bacteria that you can find in like unpasteurized milk. Sometimes you'll get it from swimming in dirty water with a cut. Sometimes you can even find it in like just, eating uncooked chicken. And so that summer, I was kind of involved in all of those things. But I just started noticing like paralysis or not being able to stand on my tippy toes. And so all that came on in just a week. I was playing football at the first of the week, and by the end of the week, I was in the hospital. And I was there for 3 weeks. Ultimately, I came out not walking. I was in a wheelchair because what the Guillain-Barré does is it strips your myelin sheath, which is your protective coating around your nerves. And then your nerves being exposed, they die. And so kind of one of the fun aspects about all the craziness was my dad was a physical therapist. And so he could work with me every single day. He could do ultrasounds, he could do exercises. And ultimately, it was somewhat humiliating, but my mom had to dress me in the morning and my dad had to bathe me or shower me at night. And I'm like 15, 16 years old. So awkward time.
Oh,
Me and my parents are
yeah.
forever really tight. But
I mean, they were handpicked just for you. So as you went through this trial, they were just what you needed. Scott, oh my goodness, I relate to your story so much. Those bacterial infections wreak so much havoc. And it seems like, I'm sure when you left the hospital, they were probably like, we don't really have any answers. Your blood looks fine. Everything looks fine. And you're like, I'm obviously not fine. Like a week ago, I was playing football and now I can't walk. Like, obviously, I'm not fine.
yep.
And that whole process of going to doctor after doctor after doctor to just try and find answers. Oh my heck, my heart is breaking for that 15-year-old version of you. But so happy that you've found things that work.
Yeah.
Okay, so Met Naturals is a company that produces hemp products to
Yeah.
help. So I've looked on your website. You help with muscle recovery and sleep and stress and nervous system. You have some really incredible bath products to help relax, and I can't wait to try some of those. Um, you talked a little bit about sourcing. So yes, I know that it's very important for sourcing, but talk to me about the research that you've done in finding farms that will be a reliable source that will provide high quality ingredients every time.
Yeah, great question. So we actually couldn't find it when we initially started looking. Not only was there a lot of gaps in the farming best practices, but you handle the product along the way. And so there wasn't best practices for storing it, for curing the product, for extracting the product. And so because it was somewhat new, at least to the West, kind of the Western region of the United States, we kind of built our own best practices. And lucky enough for us, Mark, one of the partners, he married the farmer's daughter. And so there was 4,400 acres as kind of like a little petri dish for our testing. And they already came in with so much knowledge, like, okay, it grows like this, and can we farm it like this? But I want everybody to know our first year we grew 500 acres and there was a high failure rate. And ultimately we had to figure it out, but everything around the industry was kind of pumped and charged with these brokers who were like, hey, listen, we'll teach you how to do it. And people would show up for the money, but not show up for the work. So we found ourselves really trying to have to figure things out. But we're happy to report after 1 million plants grown, we know exactly how to grow it, which you start with the soil. If you have dirty soil, I tell people, hemp is like a bioaccumulator. If there's something in the ground, it's going to end up in that plant. And that's why hemp oftentimes is used to clean up like toxic waste sites, and it's used to kind of pull like impurities from the ground. Well, if we don't grow in clean soil, you're not going to have a clean product. And so we ensure in all of our products that we test the soil to the billionth particle. And why we do that is because we want you to know there's no heavy metals, there's no residual pesticides, insecticides, herbicides, fungicides, and that we are actually putting more nutrients back into the ground, because that's one of the functions of hemp. It also puts more oxygen into the air. And so when we're looking at a bioaccumulator, we want the environment to be right. And that's why we farm from the same place every year in Nissa, Oregon. It's just kind of on the border of Idaho.
That's awesome. I think that's so true in life as well. We have to look what are our roots absorbing, like our cellular health, what type of environment are we providing for ourselves? And I think that is so interesting and also shows to the dedication of your company and your founders. of starting with the soil and continually testing the soil and making sure that the products are, I mean, to the billionth, like that's intense testing, but also it does show how dedicated you are to getting quality products to your customers.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you for making all the little things that we don't always think about, but it makes a big difference in the end product. So thank you for putting that in.
Absolutely.
Okay. Talk to me a little bit about some of your best-selling products on your website.
Yeah, our number one bestseller is our Sleep Soft Gel. And what I like to explain to people is there's a lot of sleep function products, and I think that they're going to look at symptoms. When we look at a product, we're looking at what does your body need and what is your body telling us. So to your point of root cause, when we're looking at the hemp plant, it's a phytocannabinoid or a plant-based cannabinoid. Well, most people don't realize that our bodies, every mammal, has an endocannabinoid system. It's central to everything from beta to GABA to CB1 to CB2 receptors. It's central to our respiratory system, our reproductive system. And so when we're looking at this essential system, we see things that plug into it or manifestations of. So you think of the sympathetic system, you're going to have a perceived danger, you're going to have a fight or flight. What happens is it pushes up cortisol levels. Well, then there's no danger, and sympathetic system like kind of regulates down, but cortisol levels sometimes will stay high. So from a sleep perspective, what can we do to actually help the circadian rhythm? And that's where we're utilizing chamomile and lavender. Those are some herbs that we blend into the product. But then we look at the profile of the plant. Most people know CBD or they've heard CBD. Most people know or have heard THC. And I tell people those are only two compounds or constituents that are in the plant. There's 120 total constituents in the plant. And what we want is we want to be able to utilize all of that, because I don't know whether you're going to respond to CBG, if I'm going to respond to CBC. But what I can tell you is if we take a full spectrum product, we're going to have the best case to solve the challenge, solve the root cause, because really we're just trying to feed or nourish the endocannabinoid system, because our bodies are amazing and they will do things to get us back on track when sometimes stress or toxins or disease or whatever it might be tries to kind of like change our body's composition of how we process things. But ultimately, we just need to get back on track and allow our body to do what it needs to do. And the best place to start is sleep. So our sleep gels, they are by and large our largest seller. It's not even close. But our second product is going to be our pain recovery cream. And that's going to be for things like neuropathy, like I try to treat, and things like herniated discs, things like tension headaches, and things like injuries, whether they be sport or exercise induced or just life induced. I mean, some people are dealing with chronic pain. And so that would be 1 and 2. And then our third number one product is our daily gels. And the fun thing about the daily gels, and this is kind of maybe an accidental or unknown thing for me. I was initially taking the daily gels just to kind of level my stress levels throughout the day. Like as an entrepreneur, you probably relate to this, but you never know when your stress is going to come on. It comes. You get a phone call that's not the greatest, or you have an interaction that could have been better. For me, I want my sympathetic system regulated all day long. But here was the interesting thing that I found. Because I have so much gut issues from when I had Guillain-Barré, I would get sick anytime I ate anything too rich, too dairy, there was a lot of things that just my gut just was not jiving. And I can say, and I'm happy to report, after 4 or 5 years of taking the product, I don't have those issues anymore. And I asked our chief medical officer, and he's like, well, you know what's happening, right? And I'm like, I don't. And he said, the bovine capsule works itself down your digestive tract, and then as it dissolves in your digestive system, Hemp, or CBD in this case, is actually delivering anti-inflammatory markers for our gut microbiome. And when you're training your gut to not live off of like all of the inflammatory markers and just trying to blow past them or push through, and we can actually deal with the root cause, which is inflammation and healthy gut microbiome or leaky gut. CBD actually helps our gut function quite a bit. And so what I've noticed, and what all of our customers who are taking this consistently are like, my gut doesn't hurt anymore. I don't have the bloating. I don't have all of that cramping, that pain. And so those are our top 3 products. And I would tell you, like, most crucial is sleep, but we've also got to take care of the body aches. And if we can do one more thing and make sure that we have good, proper digestion and nutrition each day, those are going to be our top 3.
That goes along with my philosophy too for my business. Like when I meet with people one-on-one, we talk about what habits can we do to help improve your body, which a lot of times goes back to digestion and slowing down when you're eating, taking a deep cleansing breath. Sleep is probably number 2, right? So those support what I'm doing as well. And then we talk about quality supplements, which you provide for the gut, for sleep, for a lot of those same things. And then we also talk about mindset, which if we, that third product that you were talking about that helps kind of regulate your cortisol levels throughout the day, that could help so many people to just have that level head instead of the cortisol and the crash and the cortisol and the crash, So
Yep.
I can see how beneficial those products would be for a lot of people that I work with.
Yep.
You talked a little bit about full spectrum, and I know your products are offered as full spectrum or broad spectrum. Can you tell me a little bit about the difference between those 2 products?
Yeah, great question. So full spectrum for us is going to be the plant in its full form. And some people know this, some people don't. As hemp grows, it's going to start flowering and leaves. There are no psychoactive constituents in a hemp plant. In hemp seeds, in hemp hearts, there's nothing there that's going to be cannabinoid profile. As it grows, though, and as the leaves and the flowers start to mature, you're going to start picking up these cannabinoids. Some are known as CBD, some are known as CBG, CBC, CBN, but the main constituent that signifies whether it's full spectrum is actually having trace amounts of THC. Now, we've been taught, and I'm a DARE kid, so I've learned to say no to drugs my whole life. And so it was actually interesting when we jumped into this industry. I was like, I don't know if this is right for me. And so my research led me to what really is THC. It's a compound, and this compound is used in a lot of different forms. Some use it in a form to get high, but you have to have such high levels of THC and low levels of CBD because they're antithesis. Like they essentially like balance out each other. So even if a person gets high, they should be utilizing CBD to bring them down so that their nervous system doesn't have a crash. And if in the event that you're not like that type of a person who is wanting to have like THC in your system, and you may not recognize those benefits for yourself, well, you don't have to have high levels of THC, but that compound itself helps with inflammation, and it works like an NSAID, which is what I like to tell people. That's your, common Tylenol, your Advil. It really is just shutting off the receptor communication of telling us that we're in pain. Because a body in pain or a perceived pain causes other issues, including stress, tension. It even can cause injury because we're trying to protect one area of our body and ultimately we hurt another area. So it's good to be able to have THC in certain scenarios because it helps with this, delivery of receptor, NSAID shutting off. And then it also helps with, the cancer patients in the world, because a lot of people, when they're on chemo or on some form of radiation, their bodily systems, even their digestion, are not working. Well, THC actually can help quite a bit in the gut. And so bringing down inflammation, also restoring appetite, helping with pain. And so those are some of the scenarios where I would tell you full spectrum means full plant, and it means that there's going to be trace amounts of THC, never enough to get you high. That's not our goal as a company. So you never have to feel like, is this going to get me high? Because no, it won't. Ultimately, it's going to just balance out what nature provided, which is the plant. Now, if we're talking broad spectrum, all we're doing is remediating out or taking out the THC so that you can get all of the other cannabinoids and the compounds that are going to be able to help you, but it's not THC. So that would be like a bus driver or somebody who gets tested, maybe a government worker, a teacher, because there's certain industries that you can't have any THC. It doesn't matter how you're utilizing it. And so that's what I tell people is like broad spectrum is going to be the thing that has 0 THC. And that's confirmed on every one of our tests. And then full spectrum is going to include trace amounts of THC.
Okay. You know, as I was listening to you, I had this thought of, you know, there's a lot of people out there who don't even have a second thought about taking synthetic anti-inflammatory medications like the NSAIDs and, you know, popping them like candy.
Yeah.
And do we actually know, in any real honest sense, what that does to the body long term? Versus what you're talking about is this is something that nature has provided. It is in trace amounts, not enough to, you know, cause hallucinations or even addictions, from what I hear you saying. Like, this is a product that you could take daily that's actually going to cause more gut healing instead of breaking down the lining of the gut, which a lot of NSAIDs will do, along with other benefits like regulating your nervous system and helping your circadian rhythms. And I mean, I love that we're swinging more toward this side, this more natural side, holistic side. What has God provided for us? What plants are available? How can we use them? And also how you incorporate other plants and herbs, the chamomile and the lavender. But I think there needs to be a lot more education about both sides, right? And how do we actually know what some of these synthetic medications are doing for our bodies? Yes,
Yeah.
it takes away the inflammation, but what are the other negative side effects that they kind of brush under the rug or are not really honest about? So thank you for your transparency in your company and what you're doing and how you source. And thank you. I think that really matters. And thank you for taking the time to educate, spreading awareness about we don't have to rely on these synthetic medications only or ever, right? There are other alternatives. And even within your own company, there's the broad spectrum, where if we're like, I just don't know how I feel about the THC, and then full spectrum, like maybe I just need a little bit more. So I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. And you brought up something that I wanted to just hit on is when you initially introduced me, you said Mett Wellness and Mett Naturals. Both are correct. Mett Naturals was our first product line, which was all hemp CBD. And then Mett Wellness is now our line that we're growing, which is going to be more specific to things that we've learned from our customers that they're not getting adequate dosing of. So magnesium glycinate, also something great for sleep, also something great for overall body wellness. Ashwagandha, great for cortisol levels, great for de-stressing somebody. Tallow, great for skin. It's incredible because it locks in vitamins A, D, K, and E. And then, you know, a red superfood, which is going to be more for like daily digestion. It's going to have your berberine. It's going to have natural nitric oxide, which is going to help oxygenate your body. But I love what you said. We don't know the synthetic impacts of some of the medicines that we've taken. And so the Met promise is that you're always going to have something natural, something that's direct to farm, direct to ranch, direct to forest, because that's what our passion is providing a better product and making sure that it's not going to cause more issues than we're helping prevent.
Awesome. I love that mission. Um, okay, we talked about some of the benefits of taking some of these products. For those people who are worried about, so I've had experiences with taking certain supplements or certain medications, and they lose their effectiveness over time, or they are products that are not meant to be taken long term. So what's your stance on your products? Can they be taken long term, and do they lose their effectiveness over time?
Yeah, great question. And I'll speak to, I was one of those people, right? Like, how is this going to work for me long term? And for me, the recovery cream, it stops neuropathy or some of my numbing and some of my pain and that heat or those pockets of like, just like feels like a knife is being jabbed into your feet. And so that solution for me is long term. I try to go days without it and it always returns. So it's not a permanent fix for me, but it is something that takes away the pain. I don't have to take some type of a synthetic. And so from my personal experience, the daily gels I take every single day, and then also the recovery cream. I don't take any more than when I started. So I just use a dab of the recovery cream and I only take one gel. There's times and seasons where I will introduce new products to my body. So the immunity gummies, they have CBG in it, which is directly related to our respiratory system. So when it starts getting cold, the weather's turning, and all of our kids are coming home with sicknesses from everybody in the classroom, I'm going to be taking our elderberry gummies. One, because elderberry boosts immune systems, but CBG is helping with my respiratory. And so I don't take that all the time, but during these months when it's starting to shift, or if I know I'm getting sick, I will take those. Other toolkits, I tell people, think of our products as different tool sets rather than like something that you have in a prison sentence to the rest of your life. Um, I take the tinctures when I need a quick dose of something to help me de-stress or to clear my mind. I like it because you put it under the tongue, it's a sublingual drop, and ultimately you can calm your nervous system in about 20 minutes, 20, 30 minutes. Gummies do the same thing. And so do I take every one of our products every day? I don't. But what I've noticed is even after, 5, 6 years, is that I'm not taking any more than I was. There's going to be days that I'm going to miss, and that's okay. My body needs to be able to do the work, and endocannabinoid system allows you to be able to function at your top level without having to worry about some of the aspects of like, well, am I medicating for this? Am I medicating for that? Again, back to the body is an amazing thing. And if we can just give it the nutrients it needs, it generally will take care of itself.
Um, with as aggressive as that bacteria was that you had when you were 15, and the fact that you have been using these products to help with the pain, with the neuropathy, um, here's where my brain is going.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that bacteria caused a lot of damage. Um, and maybe we don't have the resources right now to fully heal that, but the fact that you only have to use the cream a little bit every day or every couple of days to help keep that pain at bay, that you haven't had to increase, that says a lot to the products and their benefits to helping to keep that inflammation low, to helping reduce the pain. So I think that's really amazing that you haven't had to increase slowly, but that there are resources for when we have a particularly stressful day. Maybe you take the daily bites, but something extra happens and you just need some drops, the tinctures and the
Yeah, brilliant. And I would tell you, just based on what you just said, I loved it. Be patient with the products. I think sometimes people like feel, and I've had these discussions with customers, like I tried it once, it didn't work. And I'm like, your endocannabinoid system likely won't be impacted the first night or the first day or the first dose. Like give yourself some time and be patient with your body because you generally need about a week or two. When you think of like pharmaceuticals, they tell you up to 3 months. And so what I tell people is be patient. We have a 30-day money back guarantee on every single one of our products. We want people to use it for the entire 30 days and see what they notice. And then when they get their next dose, start dialing it in. When do I need to take it? What's my cadence? How do I take it? Like, do I like it more as a topical? Do I like it more as a sublingual? Do I like it as a pill? We try to keep all of our products really, affordable. And that's our promise to you is we want to dial this in as much as you do, because I think everybody deserves health and wellness. And we've found that after, 6 years, 16,000 customers, that we're doing that consistently. And that's what we hope everybody will be willing to try. And even if it's not on the CBD side, maybe you just need to replace your magnesium because you want 1 pill instead of 4, or your ashwagandha because ours has piperine in it and it's going to activate better. There's a lot of different things as what we can find in products and how they work with people, because we're all bio-individual. And I personally feel like we need to kind of dial that in, but be patient enough that we're not going to jump to the next thing. And we've got a ton of data over the 6 years of what works and what doesn't work. And, there's times where people need to kind of just switch some things up. But to your point, our goal is never to make you addicted to anything. CBD is non-habit forming. And so it protects your capacity to be able to learn how your body responds to things.
That is great. And I think it is really important to remember that every person is individual. But also what I hear you saying is give it at least 2 weeks of taking it consistently before you write it off or say it didn't work for me. Like, give it a solid 2 weeks. Be honest with yourself about what you're noticing. A month is even better. Take the whole bottle or the whole daily consistently. I think that's one of our downfalls as a society, just being consistent with our supplements, being consistent with taking pills, taking supplements, taking the products that are going to help us.
Yeah. Well, and I'll give you a real world example, right? We have a customer right now. She was taking Unison for her sleep. And she's like, okay, I'm going to start cutting back and I'm going to replace it with the sleep gel. Well, we're to the point now where she's sleeping 6 hours uninterrupted. That's phenomenal, right? She's still trying to dial in and optimize because she's like, generally I get 8 hours of sleep. And I'm like, well, let's look at sleep quality, but also let's look at getting you to that 8. What else do we need to do? Can we look at lifestyle adjustments? Like maybe you don't get on your phone at night, and perhaps you utilize the recovery cream on your feet because you have over 200 zones on the bottoms of your feet, and having that receptor highway transport the medicine into the body. Like perhaps that's going to be that next thing that gives you that 8 hours. So we love to just dial it in and also help with real solutions simply based on like, okay, what were you taking and what were your results to where we're at right now and where we need to go.
Mm-hmm. And you have to look exactly at quality. How is the quality of sleep? How is the quality of life when you're taking these supplements and you do have a stressful situation? How quickly do you bounce back? Or do you continue feeling like that elevated heart rate, those like quick breathing? Do you continue feeling that for an extended period of time? It is way more than just, oh, I don't feel inflammation anymore. Like there are a lot of other markers that we can pay attention to as we are healing and as we are getting our bodies back to optimal health. It's way more than just, oh, I used to be sleeping 8 hours, but now I'm sleeping 6. Well, how good is that 6?
Yep.
Are you waking up feeling rested? Do you feel like you have energy throughout the day? So there's a lot of other factors too, like you said, the lifestyle habits that we can look at to support some of this. So I appreciate that perspective. I love what you're doing. I love your company and the mission and the transparency. Thank you so much, Scott, for coming on today to share about these products and just about the mission of your company. Will you share with me where people can find either your products or where they can connect with you online?
Yeah, you bet. So we have two websites. Mett is spelled METT, and then a period naturals.com and met.wellness.com. So both of those are where you can go to get the website. We love to engage with people on our social media. And so you can go to those same, met.wellness, met.naturals. You can go and find us on Instagram. That's going to be our largest following and where we love to communicate with our customers. It's also where we've put the majority of our education. And so if you want to go back and listen to, different little clips that we've done with health providers and, professionals like yourself, those are things that we always try to put into our social media, because we know that that's sometimes the first place or second place that a person checks.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. And I will include all of those links for people to easily access down in the show notes of this. But I really appreciate your time and your expertise on these products. Thank you.
Lindsey, thank you. I appreciate you having me on.